Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask you to take a seat? We'd like to start almost in time. I know the lunch was a bit delayed at the Majestic, but I hope you enjoyed it. The hotel and tourism lunch at the Majestic Hotel. And I see the room is filling up. May I introduce myself? Some of you might have already met me. Andreas Martin. I guided through more than 50 hotel presentations at the HTL Lounge in level 3 of Palais des Festivals for the last 2.5 days. Some very interesting projects. Among of them, we had a Club Med project in Valmorel, and that brings me to the introduction of today's speakers. It's a second keynote address today. We will certainly as well talk about economies, but more about the hotel and tourism economy. And I would like to introduce to you the two speakers. First of all, Michael Whitman. He will be in charge of questions later on, but as well, you are asked to ask questions to the two gentlemen on the stage after the keynote address. Michael Whitman is the managing director of PKF Hotel Experts in Vienna, consultancy practice in the hotel and hotel real estate consulting field. He is at the same time chairman of the International Hospitality Committee within the PKF network, which consists of almost 400 offices in more than 100 countries. Please welcome Michael Whitman here on stage. And we are very honored to welcome the chairman and CEO of Club Méditerranée. We were looking at one of the latest Club Med projects in Valmorel yesterday, and it looked very promising. Even though it's in the mountains, it should be an all-season resort catering to winter and summer tourists. Before joining Club Med, Henri Giscard was a CEO of a British subsidiary of Danone Group, and he became then CEO of Evian Badois, and he became CEO, and I really liked this title because he was the head of the mineral water division within the Danone Group. So I was asking myself what it probably would mean to be head of a champagne division within an international company. But then he moved on and joined Club Med in 1997 to become the chief operating officer. And he was in charge of finance, development, and international relations before he was then elected chairman and CEO, what he is now with Club Med. He is an administrator to Group Casino as well, and he is in the oversight council of Vedior, which is a subsidiary of Randstad. Club Med has a long history, and I don't want to tell you the history of Club Med. I would like to invite Henri Giscard to tell us a little bit about Club Med, but as well to tell us a little bit about the future of hotel development, because that's our topic today. So please welcome with me the chairman and chief executive officer of Club Med, Henri Giscard, here on stage. And I leave the micro right away up to you to introduce to us Le Bonheur depuis 1950.
Thank you very much. Thank you all of you for being present early in the afternoon after lunch, which is a challenge both for the speaker and the listeners. I will try to be up to the task. In fact, what we decided was that I would do a kind of a short summary of Club Med recent history, trying to draw lessons from it, or at least see what it could mean in terms of resort development, and then we will debate with Michael and then with all of you. So I will try to be rather short in my first part of presentation. Club Med, and you were right to say, started in 1950, so 62 years ago now, and was from the very beginning extremely innovative. Club Med has been created by a gentleman, Belgian gentleman, sports champion, after the Second World War, who had the extraordinary idea at that time to create happiness through nature and sports. It's a remarkable idea in 1950 because happiness was not existing after the Second World War, and nature was partly destroyed, and sports was not the main activity. And if I use this example of the first idea, is that I would say that the first rule to be a successful resort, or at least to be a differentiated resort, is to be based on a strong concept and idea. This was an extremely original one. Obviously, it had to evolve, which is probably the second lesson from it. You can start with a good concept, but then you are imitated, and Club Med was massively imitated, suffered terribly from it in the 80s and 90s, and had, in a way, to reinvent itself. Good concept, capability to innovate regularly. We then put as an objective to ourselves to be the worldwide specialist of premium, all-inclusive holidays for families and couples. As you can see, we have a very narrow ambition, or at least a very specific one. And I personally think that one should start to be as specific as possible. We put this ambition on our vision based on various changes in the touristic world. If I take the last 10 years, what has been the major changes? First, and that unfortunately is not the most pleasant, the touristic market, which was growing year after year from Second World War to September 11, 2001, started to flatten or even to decrease since then. Obviously, with various situations depending on markets and depending on external factors. For reasons which was difficult to predict, the world, meaning the nature and the people, became crazy since that time. We have seen an unprecedented series of events, either geopolitical events, natural events, health-related events, which has every year or every second year put a constraint on the touristic market. The lesson we draw from it was that, and is, that the only way to protect yourself against it is to divide your risk and to have an as broad as possible geography in order to offset a situation or a problem with another opportunity. That explains the worldwide part of our ambition. I'm not wanting to be worldwide just to be worldwide. I'm wanting to be worldwide because when you are in a world which is deeply unstable, you better be in a position to capture growth where it is and to face difficulties through the growth you have captured elsewhere. Then specialists. When I started in this business, as you said, coming strangely enough from the mineral water business, which has limited link, except that our customers drink some mineral water in our resorts, but it's obviously not their main activities. I I saw that where you wanted to go to a destination, let's take being in Europe, if you wanted to go to Marrakesh 5, 8 years ago, you had to go in a travel agency, a boutique on the street, take a paper catalog, and book through the travel agency a flight organized by a tour operator and an hotel selected by the tour operator. When you go now to Marrakesh, you go on internet to select the hotel you would prefer, which has been preferred by others, so you go and see TripAdvisors or all those internet sites of comparison. You make your choice in 2 clicks or 3 clicks, you've booked. Then you go on any airline or comparison airline site and you book your flight. The world of tourism has totally changed in the next 5, 10 years. In this world, I personally believe that you then have to be a specialist, because in that case, you are able to attract, through those various channels, clientele. And for us, internet is not a threat, it's a chance. A chance of having our product known everywhere, a chance of having direct bookings, which obviously are at the low cost. I should add that not only you have to be this kind of specialist, but you probably, and I was very lucky here to inherit in my job this fantastic element, you need to have a brand. And this is linked to the previous factor. The brand is what expresses the specialty and what attracts consumers on internet. But a brand is a lot of work. It needs time, it needs massive investment, and it needs thinking specialists. And it's maybe why the shareholders of Club Med decided once to appoint me in my position, because when you have done marketing for mineral water, which is a product you can't change, and the only change you can make is maybe the bottle, but there is limited possibility, it's the brand, it's the image you can create. And it's fair to say that Evian has been able to create a worldwide brand on a unique product, natural product, through marketing. Worldwide specialist of premium, all-inclusive holidays. Why premium? It's another thing I experienced in my previous job in the 90s, which is when the market starts to be flattish, you have a phenomenon that we are now seeing massively here in Europe or in North America, which is what we call the bipolarization of the market. When there is growth, you have mechanically 3 segments: the upscale, the mid-scale, and the bottom part of the market. When there is no growth, you have a phenomenon which is the 2 markets which are growing are either the premium or the cheapest, and the one which is in the middle is suffering. The difficulty we had with Club Med, let's say 10 years ago, with that Club Med was covering most of the range, and worse than that, was at that time perceived as being the most expensive of the mid-range, which is a very dangerous situation when economy starts to be difficult. Because when economies start to be difficult, people are saving. They save, that means they go to cheaper things. And if you are the most expensive of this segment, they go to cheaper. And the one who are above don't go to you because they say it's not for me. So you are just losing. And the whole repositioning of the Club Med, this premium I'm describing, was to position ourselves, which I think we are now, or tend to be now, which is the most accessible of the upscale. And that leads to all-inclusive. People want things to be simple. Strange thing is that the world is becoming more and more global. People are accustomed to do more and more various things, but at the end of the day, they want things to be simple. They want to know what they will have, what they will get for their holidays. They want to have choice, and they want to be free. And the premium all-inclusive concept is the combination of all that. You know that you won't spend more than what you have paid at the beginning within the resort. You know that you are free because you don't have to look at the check each time you drink a Coke or you do a tennis lesson or go on a catamaran experience. And you are in a position to have choice because you have a lot of potential activities. What I'm expressing here, and I'm saying it's the only way, is that it's very important to have a concept well-positioned and differentiated. Then families, because we are aiming at being the world specialist of premium all-inclusive holidays for families and couples. Family is probably and structurally the fastest growing segment of the holiday business. It is also the most difficult for two reasons. One, because to organize holidays for families and make sure that teenagers, babies, or young kids and parents have good holidays at the same place is frankly a challenge. And maybe some of you are parents of kids, and you know that if the kids are not happy in their holidays, you won't have good holidays. And you may have terrible holidays. But, which would have been the case if we would have stayed kind of mid-range, that means with a limited level of comfort. If the kids have a lot of fun, but the parents are not feeling that they are in a comfortable environment with spas and any kind of activities where they can indulge, the kids would be happy, not the parents. So the combination is rather difficult, and it needs to be premium positioning. The other difficulty of the family business is that it is a terribly seasonal one. When you are in the family business, you depend on school holidays. And to make it simple, if you are only coming from one market, you will be full during the holidays of this market and empty, or nearly empty, the rest of the year. Alors, in countries like France, you may know we have, and we are supposed to have a lot of holidays, which has been sometimes discussed. So it probably enlarged naturally the market. But even if we have this 5 weeks of holidays or 3 months of kids' holidays, it's not sufficient to fill an expensive resort on which investors rightly need good return. You need for that international clientele. If you are in the family holiday business, you need to have an international base. And it's why we made a lot of efforts at Club Med from the very beginning, and more recently because we had to turn around our American business to be and remain international. You have here the latest resort we have just opened that you kindly mentioned, Valmorel, and I'm very happy to see its designer, its architect, who did an admirable job here with us. This resort opened the week of December 18th. On this first week, it was full with 19 nationalities, customers coming from 19 countries. And obviously, if there were not later Russians for Russian New Year, Brazilians in January, where it's their summer holidays, we won't be able to have a level of occupancy or FPAR sufficient to justify such significant or important investment. So this dimension of global approach of the market is also key. I would say that I've tried here to describe a combination of changes which affected us and which are, in a way, the one who are driving our change. Again, coming now to the debate, I don't think that there is one way. What I think is that one has to make choices. Those choices has to be linked to the customer demand, that they have to be expressed through a brand, and that they have to be based on a marketing and sales model which can bring sustainable business. That would be my conclusion of this introduction.
Thank you very much. Henri, thank you very much for this introduction. It makes me think a little bit if somebody with a mineral water background manages a resort group and somebody with a fast food background manages the largest European hotel group. Are the hotel managers not capable enough? Or do we have to bring in fresh blood from the outside?
On the chair. On the chair. I'm sitting on it. No, I don't think so. I simply think that we are on a business, again I'm speaking here of the resort business, which is just a part of the hotel industry, which is facing a total change of distribution channels, and where differentiation is key. Let's say that, if we say that, marketing and sales approach are key to success. And then it's fair to say that fast-moving consumer good companies, and the best of them, are good schools for it. And if I take the example of Club Med, because my case is not so interesting, my colleagues, the one who are running the business at our various business units, one comes from Procter & Gamble, the other one comes from Kraft, etc. And the others are coming from Club Med, because obviously we need to have people who have the culture of the company and which can continue to bring this culture to our guests.
So me having a hotel background, I should not apply?
No, you should apply. And we will use your hotel background to do better in fields where we can improve, because I said the other thing is innovation, and innovation is mostly product innovation. But then you should be combined with a team who has a strong marketing and sales team.
You elaborated on the distribution, marketing changes and the growing importance of internet. If you compare the different models in the market and the different opportunities and challenges, how do you see the role of tour operators in the business? How independent can a resort hotel group be from tour operators? How independent can it be from distribution channels via internet, from Expedias and the likes? And are you the only one which tries that, and to what success?
I think that the direct contact to customers is a major advantage. For instance, we have set us as an objective for Club Med to have, by the end of this year, 60% of our customers coming direct to us. That means either through our own internet sites, our own call centers, our own boutiques. In a market like China, where we are already the leading premium all-inclusive brand, we will have, by the end of this year, nearly 30 boutiques, Club Med boutiques, on top of an internet site and on top of working with other travel agents. So I think that this notion of direct access is important. It's fair to say that then you need a bit of scale.
I remember once we worked for an Italian client of ours who had a vacation with his girlfriend in Maldives. They saw islands, they liked it, they built a hotel on it. Then he found out that he didn't have the distribution, so he bought a tour operator. Then he didn't have the travel agencies, he bought 60 travel agencies. Then he lacked other hotels, he bought 2 more resorts in Caribbean. Then he had everything together, and then his girlfriend left him. Not his wife, his girlfriend left him. So, which for an Italian is a disaster, for anybody. Is it necessary to control all aspects?
No, control in terms of control, owning the thing, no. If I take our Chinese situation, we are doing so-called shop-in-shops. That means, because by law anyway, being a foreign company, even though we have a Chinese shareholder and Chinese partners, we have not the right to sell directly to Chinese citizens outbound stays. We can do it for inbound. We have already 1 resort in China. We'll have 2nd by this summer. Those we can sell directly. Otherwise, we have to sell indirectly. Those shop-in-shop are within a travel agent shop. Either it's the total surface of this travel agent shop, or it's a part, it's a corner in this travel agent shop. So we are partnering with the travel agent. But for the travel agent, he has the brand, which is now very attractive for holidays in China. And for us, we have exposure, and we train the salesmen so that they can advise properly our customers. So here our obsession is not to control the travel agent. Our obsession is to be sure that we have the right direct contact with the customer.
Now, if you look at the global picture, we have hotel groups and hotel brands from Ibis, Marriott, Four Seasons, in all categories. Most of them are linked to city hotels, at least in the perception of the guests. A lot of them have resort hotels, but nevertheless they are perceived as more city hotel operators. We have very, very few brands in the resort business. Do you have any explanation for that? Why is it so difficult to create a resort brand?
It's a very fair and good observation. It's a fact. I would give at least 2 explanations. First, when you choose your holidays, traditionally, you choose a destination. I will go to the Maldives. I will go to Morocco, or I will go to Marrakesh. So what leads you, it's not the name of an hotel. It's the place. And within the place, it could be a specific location. So the major factor is this one. While when you go to a business trip or in town, you have to choose. And then the reference is your hotel, the hotel brand. So the holiday business is destination driven, generally speaking. What we have managed to do is that for most of our customers, they are not going to the Maldives. They are going to Club Med in the Maldives. But for that, you need to have a specific formula and a specific link with your customer. And I agree that it has been difficult, very expensive. It took us more than 60 years and great losses in the middle. The second explanation is linked to the traditional distribution of resorts through tour operators. When I said to go to Marrakesh 10 years ago, you had to go through a travel agent, a catalog. You were choosing not the catalog of an hotel brand. You were choosing the catalog of TUI, Thomas Cook, or Crony, or all the great tour operators. And within that, you were looking at a destination, and within that, you were looking at a location, and there was an hotel presented, which was a very, very secondary or third element of your choice. So I think it's because of those 2 reasons, choice of destination, history of going through an intermediary, which was tour operator, that there is, as you are right to say, limited number of hotel brands in the holiday sector.
You're a polite person as far as I know you, so you will probably not criticize anybody else, but do I hear a certain message that it will be more difficult in future for the tour operators to justify as a business case?
We have seen, just again beyond facts, a massive concentration of this sector. Obviously, there is always an element of size which allows you to then adapt to changes in the market. But it's naturally a sector which is under heavy concentration.
Now, coming back to your roots branding, we once worked on a project on Mosquito Island in Maldives, which I thought was not very good name, or it says very famous Shark Bay in Egypt. When we look on it on a positive side, you have created a brand. You not personally alone, but your group has created a brand over generations now, and that gives you a certain value. What's in for the developer? Is it your profit basically, or how can a developer, and we are here at a real estate fair, how can a developer profit from a brand value of an operator?
Simply by the highest RevPAR, which then leads to among the best profitability in the resort-based industry for the owner. When you are able to attract customers from all over the world on a branded approach, which means a significant premium, because for me a brand is what allows a premium. And if you can run it efficiently with the owner, mechanically you generate a better GOP, so a better revenue.
It's probably difficult to say because there might be a lot of differences between ski and beach resorts, between different continents and countries. But what return on investment can a developer of an owner of a resort, let's say a Club Med resort, expect?
Alors, you are right to say that it really depends. Ski resort would be different than beach, and then
look at a recent ski resort. What would they be able to expect?
Alors, on our ski resorts, to be specific, we are working either on our own investment or on a fixed lease, and we are in a situation where we can offer a reasonable return for long-term investment. For instance, for Valmorel, it's the Caisse des dépôts et consignations, which is the long-term state-owned, state-controlled French investor, but also Sofival, which is a private company with the second largest company for ski lifts, and ourselves, who have invested, but us in minority, on a reasonable long-term yield on a fixed lease, knowing that we have created 500 direct jobs, another 500 indirect, and that the price of the real estate, I read an article last weekend, the price of the real estate, or this little place, Valmorel, is one of the only place in the Alps where the price of the real estate has increased last year. So if we don't bring for institutional investors huge return, again, there are the returns perfectly in line with their request, we bring additional returns to the rest. If we then are on a seaside resort, I would just give you an example because I'm obliged, obviously, to keep confidentiality for our owners, but this one is a listed one, so he published his figures. We have opened a year ago, a little more than a year ago, a magnificent resort in the Sinai, in Egypt, next to Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. We've done that with Orascom Tourism, which is a remarkable touristic operator, and Rolaco, who is a Saudi investor, which is also shareholder of Club Med. The RevPAR of our resort has been in this period more than double or triple of all the other FPAR of the Red Sea.
So if I am an investor and look at 6-7% return on investment, does it make sense to talk to you?
It does.
Okay. Now, coming back to hotel groups, we know that we have seen a tremendous change in the last 2 decades from hotel groups owning the real estate to asset light and lease light groups. So most we have some development managers here. If I look into the audience, most would say, well, we can speak about a certain subordination of an incentive fee, but we are speaking about pure management contract unless it's plus Vendôme or something like that. You offer different models. Can you just guide us a little bit out of the management, lease, and franchise models? Which one you pursue, and which one you like, and which one you would recommend to your developers?
Again, it would be management or lease. Lease, where we are in a situation where it's fair for the investor to have a very steady flow of income, even though he may not benefit from a plus if we were doing significantly better. Because, for instance, when you are on a ski resort, you have a limited season, even though we are open winter and summer, but the upside is limited. While, on our side, we know that we are able to reach a more than 80% occupancy during the opening times. So it's a balance between our objective of optimizing our results and stabilization of the revenue of the investor. On, let's say, seasides and permanent resorts, we prefer to be on a management type of agreement, because as the season is larger, the variation can be greater, including for the investor the possibility of an upside. We have a specific type of relation then, because as you have seen and understood, we are more an integrated tour operator, I would say, or at least a sales and marketing company than an hotel company. So we are having a sales and marketing fee, and then we have the usual management fee and incentive fee on the hotel part. But as we are able, as I said through my example of Sinai and Egypt, which, as you may know, is not the most stable and dynamic destination nowadays, we are able, through the first part, that's been the specialty of the product, the customer loyalty, the control of our distribution, to generate more business. And then, even though we have the sales and marketing fee, which is significant, we generate more revenue for the hotel.
Now, again, looking through the lens of a developer, we all know that to develop a resort hotel poses some unique challenges. Number one, you need to provide relatively large rooms, because people spend time in the rooms, maybe not so much in Club Med than in other resort products. And you need to provide a lot of food and beverage facilities. You need to provide spa facilities, sports, and so on. Generally, you need to provide a year-round infrastructure in most destinations, unless you operate only seasonally, which I understand you try to avoid. So all that adds to the cost. And if you don't receive any subsidies by a state or pension fund or whoever gives you any direct or indirect subsidy, it will be a challenge to get a certain return on investment if you compare it to a city hotel. We have seen now a growth in the last 10 years of residences linked to resorts, apartments, villas, and so on. Sometimes a small amount, sometimes the hotel seems to be an annex to the residential development. Do you think for operator like yourself that combination makes sense? Are there any limitations from your point of view, and do you see that as a as an exit regarding this threat of huge cost while maintaining a relatively low income?
First, I may correct you a bit on the first part of your statement. What is the difference between the cost of a hotel in town and a resort hotel? The resort hotel, you are right to say, needs more facilities. It's fair to say that in Club Med, because most of the activities are outside, we have usually average size of room. They are in line with the industry, but not on top of it, because we don't need, because our customers enjoy their time outside. Fair to say also that we have a restaurant system through the buffet, which is optimizing both workforce, raw materials, and surface, and which also provides the biggest choice to our guests, which are two optimization. But even if not, the land on which you are generally worth little. The construction cost is limited. You can imagine that the construction cost in Sinai is significantly cheaper than in London, Paris, or Berlin, and the land also. So in fact, and the labor is per definition cheaper. So it's the models are totally different. In cities, you need to be as efficient as possible on the land usage and on the cost of labor. In resorts, you need to be as efficient as possible on the revenue you get, because the costs are not very big. In cities, you better be in the economy type of hotels. In resorts, you better be upscale. I would add, you better be big. We may come back to that question later. Then, should one base a system to the real estate developments you do around? Personally, I think it's always dangerous to do something to make profit on another one. For Club Med, our objective is to make profit on the result we make. And then, to benefit from the value we have created on the adjacent land, to make an additional profit, and to also create additional facilities at a variable cost and externally funded. In Valmorel, you may have seen that on the photo, we are building 80 apartment chalets that we are selling to individuals that then make a lease contract with us.
And there's a brand name of Club Med?
And the brand name of Club Med. They're called Club Med Villas and Chalets, because we did first in Mauritius. And what we are selling there is not a financial operation for the owner. It's the pleasure of having its own place with no thinking about how to maintain it, how to organize it, after looking after it. When we are selling it, we say, okay, in Mauritius, you can buy a house everywhere. But then if you have a problem, 12 hours of flight, difficult. We are looking after everything.
You mentioned we are selling it. So
yeah.
Is it your property? You're selling it, or you're selling it on behalf of the
In that case, we acquired the land.
Mm-hmm.
We constructed the houses, villas or chalets, pre-selling them and selling them. Mm-hmm. We have now sold most of, or the whole first phase of our Mauritius villas part, and we are doing very well on the Valmorel part. Mm-hmm. And then we are marketing them to our guests. There, obviously, it's a different clientele because, especially for chalets, it's people who wants to be by themselves. So we have to develop a special marketing for that, which is what we're doing now. But either on the Mauritius one resort or on the Balmoral one, we are making money on the resort itself.
But
so
you're still,
is a plus.
But you're still making more money from operations than from real estate. Not like IKEA, which I understand is now making as much profit from selling and renting real estate in some markets and from operating the furniture business.
No, we are.
You briefly touched economies of scale. Now, let's say there's somebody in the audience here who has a nice site and he or she thinks that would be suitable for Club Med. Where should it be located and how large should it be?
We are aiming at our first significant piece of land. Why? Because we are offering space to our guests. And second, because we know that to make a good return, you need big capacity.
So no Club Med in Monaco?
No Club Med in Monaco. Otherwise, they have to get a little more on the sea. We usually have, let's say, 800 beds. The Valmorel you have seen goes more than 1,000 beds, if we include everything. Size is a key element, because we are in a fixed cost industry. And when you are in a fixed cost industry, scale is key. So our basic philosophy is to start with this kind of scale, 300 rooms, 150, 300 rooms, and most of the time enlarging it, but on a large piece of land, which allows activities and which allows to put the customers everywhere, so that you never have the impression of crowd, because you can't pretend to be premium and have crowd impression. The only way to avoid crowd impression when you have 1,000 bed is to have your customers doing various things all around, so that they are never together.
Old-fashioned Patron used to have a big map on the world with little dots where the company is. I'm sure you don't have that, but where would you stick your little mark into a map of the world? Are there any places you say, I would really like to have a resort in, let's say, southern Afghanistan, or just some examples?
Alors, first, we like to be, and it's a very remarkable and difficult heritage I received, we are in the nicest places in the world. And we are in a place...
Sorry, I'm from Austria, and you're not there.
So there is one exception, which may be corrected. Second, for us, the destination has to be reachable from significant and, if possible, various sourcing markets. Why are we extremely successful, say, in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic? There we were the first. We even built the airport with our partner Ranieri. Or in the Maldives, where we have been the first now, obviously, not at all. It's because in Punta Cana, in winter, we have the North American clientele, and in summer, the European one. In Maldives, we have the Europeans, the Japanese, and the Chinese. When you are in a location which can be sourced by various markets, you are there in an ideal situation, because you have the effect of scale of those markets, and also the situation where if European economy is a bit soft, which unfortunately is the case now, but Chinese economy is very strong, and American economy is doing better, you compensate one by the other. Second, you need, but it's like related to that, to have easy access. Quality of transportation is key. The strange thing nowadays is that people do not accept to have complicated trips.
So life is so complicated, so I want at least the trip to be simple.
Exactly, exactly.
Henri, would you be so kind to allow some questions from the audience? Any questions, any comments from your side? Wake up, please. So, any no questions from the audience, as far as I can see. Then you have to bear with me for another 5 minutes. Exactly 30 years ago, I spent my first vacation without my parents, but with girlfriend instead of parents. It was a nice vacation. I spent it in Donoratico, a little wooden shack with I don't know, the palm leaf rooftop. Now Club Med today looks different. I understand Donoratico is history. It has changed a lot. You mentioned that you have 3 stars, 3 Trident, 4 Trident, and 5 Trident resource. But if you would take us on a journey into the future, how will a Club Med look in 20 years from now? What difficult to anticipate, but what changes do you foresee? Where is your intellectual brain pool of your group now thinking about what are you developing, in which direction do you want to go?
The real talent of Club Med has been to be, at least at each of its successful time, and again we have not been successful all the time, but has been to be in tune with the aspiration of the society. When we were doing these little huts, it was a time where people wanted freedom, including sexual freedom and C-sex and son, I would say. We made our success in America, in the US market, by antidote for civilization. At the time, the Vietnamese War, where the young generation of America wanted a new America. So we will be in 20 years where the society will be. And to be honest, that is rather difficult to predict. Geographically, it's rather easy. It will be Asia. We had the chance to start in China as the very first in a premium and inclusive resort, as I said. The rhythm of growth of China, the size of the country, makes it mechanically one-off and then the largest market in the world. The product, I think, will be probably even more linked to nature. It's fair to say that we feel from our customers that they want to have the most natural experience, and we are developing the eco-resort type of approach. The Valmorel building you have seen is the first group of first resort in Europe to have the HQE, which is high environmental quality label from the European Union, which means that from its design to its day-to-day operation, he is on the strictest standards about environment. And that can be felt even in the experience of the resort itself. So if we look at geography, it will be probably east. If we look at aspiration, it will be probably nature.
When we look at the city hotel market, 2 of the big trends of the last 10, 20 years were the trend towards budget hotels, which actually in Europe started in France. And the second trend, lifestyle design-oriented products. And probably I see some colleagues from Horvath, from Christie's, and even from Jones Lang LaSalle here. I think all consultants would agree that the most profitable product line now are lifestyle design-oriented budget hotels, so sexy budget hotels. What is the magic combination, if you look to your portfolio, what is the magic combination? Do we see a trend ever increasing luxury, or what is the magic bullet in the resort business?
I think that, at least in the resort business, luxury is people. We see a declining attraction towards marble and gold, and an increasing attraction towards people. Even the richest, they want to enjoy. And I think what one should really bring is an atmosphere. And it's even more true for a family. I go to the example of a successful family holidays versus an unsuccessful one. So obviously you have, in terms of design, in terms of technology, to be completely in line and slightly ahead of the game on the design of your hotel, of your resort, and what you are doing with it. And I was last weekend inaugurated the upgrading of our Phuket resort, which is a very good example of all what I described. I mean, we have the best site of Qatar, simply because we were there 25 years ago. Everything is constructed around us. But when you are in it, next to the, just on front of the beach, you have the impression that we're in full nature. But we still had to continue to put it in the modern time. And we have created on our theater a wall made of LED, which makes kind of permanent visual atmosphere, which is then used in our shows at night, which is obviously a progress versus the traditional way of organizing a theater. So using technology, working for innovation is key, but people is even more important. What impressed me when I was meeting with the journalists of China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan this weekend, as I've seen it many times, some of them, most of them, it's first time in Club Med. And what impressed them most was the nature, nature, because they didn't expect to have something like that in Phuket, and people.
A friend of mine who runs a resort geared toward families described what you just talked about, the success of a family vacation as such. At the end of a family vacation, your kids are still alive and you're still married. So I wish you many happy family vacations, and I wish you many people, many guests who have happy family vacations with you. I think we got a very interesting and charming introduction into the world of resort hotels, and we can say that you will stay a little bit here if somebody has individual questions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Henri.